Welcome to Northern Design Woodshop. I'm Bryan, and it's time for another project. I was approached to recreate a board game that a family had. The name of the game is Frustration Rummy. Although I know that it's a card game, I've never heard of this game before, since I'm not much of a card player. I was sent a photo to reference and to recreate. So my thought was that I would use my Shapeoko CNC machine to make this game. I drilled a few holes, used a V-bit to carve the lettering, and for this project I'm going to use a pine board. Here's a look at that process. It seems like I forgot to press record during this V carving process. Here I used a 60-degree V-bit, and during the process I masked the wood so that I could paint the letters. So here's a look at the finished game board. I didn't really care for the way the lettering came out with the carving in the wood. In some spots it went a little deeper than others, and just because I think the wood was just had a little bit of a crown, so when it went over with the V-bit it would get deeper in some areas and not. Maybe it's also just my lettering. It seemed like the letters got a little bit too close. I can see how this would turn out pretty good and look good, but I think I need different fonts and a straighter board to make it look better, in my opinion anyways. I don't, tell me what you think. What do you think? So because I didn't really care for how the first game finished up, I went and I made another one on another pine board. I drilled the holes on the CNC machine again, but then I put it on the X-Tool laser machine that I have, and I engraved all the lettering. This one turned out okay. Could have made it a little bit darker, but this was just a test piece to make sure that I can even get all the lettering in line with the holes. So I was able to do that, and it looks good. And also for this board game I needed some pegs. So I 3D printed some pegs. Here's how it came out. And the holes on the first board here are 1/4-inch holes, which these pegs fit nice and good. But the problem is they just got to be too thick. So in order to make a hole in the back, or a pocket in the back to fit these pegs and to have a lid over it, they just got too big. So this was a no-go. So what I did is I made another peg. These are a lot smaller, a lot slimmer, and they're more like what you use on a crib board. But the problem here was now the holes are just way too big. So I have to downsize the holes to about a 1/4 inch. Sorry, there's a 1/4 inch here. I have to downsize the pegs to 1/8 of an inch. So time to remake the board, smaller holes, and do all the lettering engraving on the X-Tool. So for the new board, I ended up finding a piece of hardwood that was big enough I wouldn't have to do a glue up. It did need some milling to get it nice and flat, so I used the Shapeoko to flatten the surface. So with the little bit of waste that I had from that board, I did a speeds and power test, and I did 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, and 9,000 millimeters per second from 0 to 100%, and kind of hard to see here, but out of all of them. I don't want to go too dark. I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to go not quite deep enough because I still want to give it at least a little bit of sanding after it's done. So after all said and done, I think I'm going to go with the 6,000 millimeter speed with probably 70% power. Okay, I'm going to get things lined up on the machine and make sure I can get it centered right and aligned with those holes. So what I did in order to try to align this thing properly with my wood is I've got the board here on light burn, and I have a border around all the wording, and the holes are all lined here. Everything's lined up straight. So what I did is I put the border around. I'm not burning that on there, but I got the size of 6 by 11. So that's the border size. So what I'm going to do is take those measurements. I'm going to come to the actual piece of wood here, which my final wood here is 6.5 by 11. So the board on there is 6 by 11. So I'm just going to make a mark here, half an inch in, both sides. Both sides, top and bottom. So I'm going to put on the laser now. I'm going to align the crosshairs with my marks here, and I'm going to align it there, and it should, I mean the hope is that everything's going to line up right the first time. Let's take it there. Probably align it with some of these lines that I have on the board here, just to make sure this is straight. And adjust the focus. Make sure I do that first because I tend to forget that sometimes. So I'm going to line that laser crosshair with that line and the top with the top of the board. Now I know when I did the first one, it didn't line up perfectly on those lines, so I just kind of split the difference, but it gives me a good area, good spot to start with. I think I got the framing right. So we're going to do a frame one more time, and you'll see it's pretty much just off the top of the board. And now I'm set. I probably got maybe a little over 1/8, maybe 3/16 around the edges, but the top and bottom. So now it's to see whether or not all the text line up with these holes. I mean, they can be off a slight bit, but hopefully it's not too much, or else it just wasted a piece of wood. But wouldn't be the first time. I've got all the settings set. I've got my fill speed power, 6,000 millimeters per second, 80%. Anyways, we'll fire it up. Let you watch for just a minute or so, and then we'll come back when it's done. Well, that's gonna get smoking here pretty quick, so come back when it's done. Okay, it's done. let's reveal and see how it did. Did everything line up? Let's find out. Oh, move the camera. Everything line up? For the most part. It all fit inside the board anyways. But let's see. They're off a little bit, but what, within maybe a couple of millimeters or so? It's not worth scrapping over though, so it's good to go. So now I'm going to put this back on the CNC here, upside down. I'm going to pocket out a hole in the bottom, square in the bottom, for to hold the pegs. There we go, the pocket is made. A couple holes for magnets, and I'm going to use this piece of wood here. And there we go. I just need to go in and clean up the corners here to straighten them out to fit this thing perfect. And yeah, that'll fit there. A couple magnets, fold that down, good to go. Okay, so the game's almost done here. I have it all sanded. I added a little design around the edge to make it look a little bit nicer. And I think I said that this was maple wood. At least that's what I thought it might have been. But thinking it might be cherry now. This wood here, this is for the laser, and it is a cherry veneer eighth inch plywood, and the colors look awfully close, so I'm thinking this is a piece of cherry. Anyway, all I need now is to finish it, and I think I'm just going to finish it with some Danish oil, and then the back piece here to cover for the pegs. I got the little area right here, a couple of batteries, well, they're about the same size as like watch battery, but magnets. And I tried to put maybe just a pinhead or something like that in this piece, but it didn't work too well. So I just threw a couple more small magnets there. And yeah, that will close up just fine. There you go. Works good. So now that that's all done, here's the final reveal. I used Danish oil to coat and finish the game board, and I'm quite pleased with how it came out. The Danish oil really brought the color out in the wood, and I'm very happy with how it looks. Also, I picked up some felt pads to help protect against whatever surface you're going to play the game on. Coffee table, kitchen table, what have you. The pocket turned out good. In the back I can fit the 5 pegs. And the lid here, it's just got some magnets on it. Some magnets in here as well. And a nice click, satisfying click, knowing that they're good in there. So if you made it to the end, I hope that you've enjoyed watching the process that I took to get to this final result. Maybe you've come away with ideas towards your next build. What would you have done differently than me? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always learning and in search of new and different ways to improve my builds and my skills. I sure would be grateful if you would give this video a like, consider subscribing to the channel. It's always free and would really help me grow this channel. Until next time, make some sawdust, have some fun improving your woodworking skills. I know I am. See you next time.